Hey everyone, happy Saturday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So the big thing that happened today is, like, just literally minutes ago, the customer left with his bitchin' red 64 Beetle that we put front suspension and brakes, rear suspension and wheels and tires on. And yeah, I got the car having more of a road race look. Car handled and stopped really good. The customer's super happy. Those of you that follow the channel also know that he bought the big motor and transmission and stuff out of this car. And so he took all those parts, which is good because now they're out of my way. And he's going to be bringing his car back probably in a few months for us to install all those things. So yeah, no, it's good, man. Very happy for him. He should be enjoying his car a lot in the meantime. Looks awesome. Handles great, and should be lots of fun for him. So anyway, so that was kind of the main thing that happened. It actually took me a good portion of the morning just to like collect all the engine parts and stuff and transmission parts from that car, and I made a massive stack here. Plus that customer with the red 64, his wheels and tires and hubcaps, made sure he got back all the stock parts and stuff like that. So that ate up a lot of my morning just gathering all that stuff up. But that's not very interesting. Anyway, that car's gone, so congrats to him. 2 cars leaving in 2 days, and they were both red. So, geez, I feel like we need some more red cars in our shop. We got the red 67 Beetle tucked away back there. And I guess sealing wax red counts as red, although to me it looks more orange, but that's another story. Anyway, so this one I spent a little bit of time on today. So let's talk about this one. So one of the things I noticed immediately when I took this car over from Octavio's shop yesterday was that this thing did not roll worth a damn. I mean, I'm used to pushing Beetles around a lot, buses for that matter. But with a Beetle, you know, it's probably hard to tell in the video, but this is downhill a little bit from here to the parking lot. I can by myself push a stock Beetle from the parking lot up into the shop. No problem at all. This car, I could barely push this thing on flat ground by myself. It was like that hard. And so you think like, okay, well, the brakes are, you know, adjusted too tight or this or that. So I checked all that stuff. I jacked up the back of the car. Both wheels spun very freely, even too freely. Like the brakes, you know, I'll go through all the brakes, but they're going to need to be adjusted tighter. But that wasn't it. Jacked up the front of the car and spun each wheel. They spun great. I checked the transmission, so we jacked the back of the car up again. And me and one of the neighbors, we spun both rear wheels, you know, forward at the same time. So we were actually making the transmission turn. Thought that was going to be it. That wasn't it. Finally, I jacked the front of the car up one more time, and this wheel was spinning a little tight. So I checked, and the bearing was adjusted a little bit tight, but it was not what was causing the issue. So then, you know, I put the car back on the ground, rolled it, still super tight, jacked it up again, and when I checked that wheel, just grabbed the wheel, it wouldn't really turn. But then when I kind of forced it to turn, then it turned and spun real freely. So basically what I found was that the front wheel bearings on this side, somebody had adjusted like way too loose, like way too loose, like several turns too loose, enough that what was happening was when you'd put the car on the ground and the weight was, you know, bearing on the bearings and stuff, is that the drum, I guess, would like tilt some because the axle nut was loose, and it was tilting enough that it was basically like dragging very hard on the brake shoes. And so as soon as I adjusted the axle nuts properly, it rolled smooth. The car, I can push it around myself now just like any other Beetle. So yeah, super weird little mystery. It took me a while to figure out. The funny thing is, and this is why I was just telling the owner of the red Beetle that left, I was just explaining all this to him and telling him, hey, I know on the videos I always say, like, we don't trust anyone else's work. We always check everyone else's work. So here's the thing, is that the little tab, little sheet metal tabs that go on these. If you haven't seen them, there's on these early cars, there's 2 nuts where you adjust the bearing play. There's an inner one that you set the amount of play with, and then there's an outer one that works as a jam nut to essentially lock the inner one. But then on top of that, there's a little sheet metal plate that goes between those 2 nuts. You bend one tab toward the inner nut and one tab toward the outer nut, and then that it just ensures that even though you've got a jam nut on there, that it can't come loose and back off. Anyway, so despite this being too loose by several turns, somebody had installed the lock plate on there, which is like, sometimes I just put things together like, hand tied if I'm just moving a car around or whatever, but I never install a lock plate or anything like that until it's had its final adjustment and I know that I'm done. Because to me, having the lock plate on there means it's done. It doesn't need to come apart again. It's been adjusted. That's what that's supposed to mean. But anyway, that was the issue with this. It was so loose, it was cocking and engaging the brake pads, and then it would become impossible to move. But when it was up in the air, it was free enough that it would spin. So the other thing that I found, which was kind of disturbing, was that, kind of similar to the front with the little lock plates, is that this car had cotter pins on both rear axles, but the axle nuts were like finger tight at best. You could actually grab, they're tight now, but you could grab the wheel and do this with it, and you could actually see a tiny bit of motion between the drum and the nut. So again, to me, a cotter pin means it's been torqued down and you're done, you're happy with it, whatever. But I mean, I can't imagine putting a cotter pin on an untorqued nut. But anyway, this is why we check everything, right? Because the car's got to be safe, and ultimately, if it's been in my shop, that's our responsibility, and that's why we don't trust anyone. So that was those issues. Other than that, I spent some time kind of crawling around the car, essentially making a list of all the things that we need to do. The car pretty much needs the wiring done. The back of the car seems to be wired, but the front is not wired. They've got the wiring harnesses pulled obviously from the front of the car to the back, but yeah, nothing for the most part is really connected up here, the headlights, stuff like that. So we need to wire the whole front of the car. Hood seal's missing. The gas tank, I noticed looking up underneath there, gas tank's not connected to the fuel line that runs through the tunnel. I think there's no horn wire that runs up the steering column. Just tons and tons of things like that all over this car that need addressing to make it a running, driving, safe car. They don't have the cable in there for the latch here to release that. Obviously, I'm going to check and adjust all the brakes, check the cylinders, etc. Go through the front suspension, make sure everything's tightened down. Same with the back. Again, with what I've seen with some of this very important hardware like axle nuts, I really don't trust anything on this car now. So I will be pretty much checking everything on here as far as tightness of bolts and stuff like that, especially with respect to suspension and brakes and so on. So shifter is in, but it's just loose, so needs to be adjusted. The clutch felt adjusted a little bit too loose and stuff like that. So yeah, tons of stuff. Nothing on this car seems to be terribly wrong. It just needs like tons and tons of details taken care of, and again, things that are related to safety and stuff like that checked out, and then we'll have an amazing little driver here for this customer's customer, I guess, as the case is. I think I showed his motor yesterday, but yeah, this seems to be pretty complete here. And just clean it up a bit. May need to go through the carb if it's had gas in it, because it evaporates and they don't run well because they get gummed up. But yeah, so that's pretty much was my Saturday here, was sending the red car and that giant ass pile of parts off, and then checking this thing and getting a game plan together. So that's it for today, guys. So appreciate you all watching. I will at some point this weekend also be posting a video of a brief walk around of the red Manx buggy that we just sent off. And I do have a short video of him driving off into the sunset, as the case may be. Sunrise, I guess. I don't know. It was morning when he took it. But yeah, so I will see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.